continuing with the teaching. So you will recall after last week, the last video, I said I will come back and we can now begin talking about the feminine qualities or the feminine energy or femininity, the elusive femininity, the powerful feminine energy that I honestly do not think we understand it. I think many people think they understand what femininity is. And I can bet my last R1 that most people do not even have a faintest clue what femininity is. So I'm going to spend the rest of August just teaching on the qualities and what it really means. And why is it that it is so rare? Why is it that you and I have never actually experienced a feminine woman? I am willing to have debate after debate with anybody, but I know for a fact that women of my generation, Black women of my generation, and maybe even younger ones, have never truly experienced a woman in her femininity. Maybe the women who live in the rural areas who've never been touched by by the system, so to speak, women who've never really tasted corporate South Africa, who've never tasted the cities, who've never really been touched and tainted by the system we live in. Um, maybe those have experienced and have seen femininity in its embodiment. But us who grew up in the system, who are living the way we live, very few of us have actually seen what femininity is, what it means exactly. And so without even getting too much into the last video, because, if you want to know where this comes from, please watch the last video that is titled Why Women Are Stuck in Masculine Energy, or Why Can't We Shake Off Masculine Energy? And I explain all that there, so I don't want to over repeat myself. So let's get into, first and foremost, the misconception of what femininity is. So femininity, and the reason a lot of women reject it, and I hambi, but also a lot of feminists. And I say this as someone who understands and embraces feminist ideals. But a lot of feminists actually reject feminine qualities. And once again, I understand why. When feminism began in earnest, it needed to embody masculine energies in order for us to be where we are. So we will forever thank feminism for putting women where they are. But it is time for us to now step into femininity, to move into femininity with power, with the strength and the power that is bestowed to femininity. So as I unpack what this energy is, I hope you appreciate it. I hope you see that many of us did not understand what it is. We actually had a distorted version of femininity. We had a toxic version of femininity, the same way that we have a toxic version of masculinity. Masculinity is a beautiful energy. Both femininity and masculinity are beautiful energies. They are not in and of themselves toxic. They got toxified by the system. One day we'll do a video on the system really and unpack what do we mean by the system, what do we mean by the world, because we live on planet Earth, which is a feminine planet, but the world is a system, it's a matrix. And this is why the devil was so confident in saying to Jesus that, if you turn this stone into bread, I will give you the world. So this world, we're going to talk about it at some other video as we continue with the teachings. Okay, so misconceptions of what femininity is. Let's start there. So what is femininity? Often femininity is confused or misconstrued as being weak or being passive. It always, and it's almost like they use the opposite or the toxic side of masculinity as femininity. Here's an example. If we say masculinity is action and focus, the opposite of that, which is a masculinity when it's toxic or when it's inactive, the opposite of that would be laziness and passivity and disengaged. Usually people think that's femininity. That's not. So masculinity and femininity are not opposites. They're not polarities. They are complementary. They complement each other. So femininity is not passive. It is not unfocused. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. Femininity is receptive. So whenever you are in a receiving place, whenever you are finding yourself receiving and listening and holding and waiting and receiving, you are in your feminine. This is why, as women who are tired of holding on, of being in masculinity, find it hard to receive. You cannot receive in a masculine state, in a masculine energy. Masculinity, by its very nature, is a giving. It gives, and femininity receives. So femininity is receiving, it is listening, it is allowing. If masculinity is a structure and it holds, femininity receives. I mean, think of the womb, think of the vaginal canal. Think of the sexual act. One is receiving and one is giving. Okay. Yeah, so that metaphor of the sexual act, my head just went somewhere. So let me just come back here. Okay, I'm back. Let's be serious. But I wanted to say that that's why I think we find women on top very weird. Another misunderstanding of femininity is that it's irrational. So if masculinity is logic and rationality, therefore, whenever masculinity is irrational, which is a toxic side of masculinity, people assume that's feminine. It's not. Femininity is not irrational. Femininity is intuitive. So if logic lives here, rationality lives here in the head, in the mind, intuition lives in the body. Intuition is in the gut. In most spiritual teachings, the gut, the stomach is known as your second brain. That gut feeling that we get that half the time defies logic, or whenever it's aligned with logic, you achieve miracles. You find couples who are in their masculine and in their feminine who are aligned. Those are what we call power couples half the time. Because in as much as they might swap roles from time to time, where one is in the masculine, one is in the feminine, but oh my God, once you get these two aligned, the gut and the logic, the rationale and the intuition, not the rationale and the irrational, you get what we call power couples, or you achieve incredible things. It does not necessarily have to be in couples. It can also be in business partnerships where the feminine and the masculine energies work really, really well together. Okay, so femininity is intuitive. Femininity is not irrational. Misconception number 2. Misconception number 3 is that femininity is inconsistent or femininity is chaotic. That is not femininity. Femininity is about flow. It's rhythmic, it's seasonal, and it flows. I mean, I always use the sun for masculinity as a metaphor, right? The sun is one direction, it's linear, it's focused, rises in the east, sets in the west every day without fail. Now, femininity is the moon. You know this, right? You know this. I'm not teaching a new thing here. So femininity metaphorically is represented by the moon. In fact, the moon is the feminine the moon is a feminine celestial body. And the moon has what? It has phases and it is rhythmic. The moon, you'd wake up one day, you look up and the moon is over there and it's thin. Tomorrow or the next week, you wake up, the moon is over there and it's kind of full. Sometimes there's no moon at all because it's in its new moon season. So the feminine is the seasons, the feminine is the summer, winter, spring, autumn. The feminine is rhythmic. This is why the earth is represented by the feminine. It's a feminine energy. And the sky, which is constant and it's standing there, no matter what you do, the sky is there. The sky doesn't shift. The clouds can come and go, but the sky is there. The sky represents the masculine. I think this is where the whole concept of Father God or God in the heavens came from. The sky God, other people call it. But the sky represents the masculine. Misconception number 4. This one is the one that we reject the most. People always think that femininity is fragile and weak, that if you are in your nurturing space, and I know as feminists hate this nurturing thing. I remember back in the days, whenever we want to claim our power in corporate space or in wherever, and we'd say that, yeah, they say women are naturals. Women are naturals. Actually, femininity is the natural. I mean, think of Mother Earth. We are nurtured by her. We are fed by her. A mother, the body of a mother is a walking, talking, feeding machine. When there's a new baby, it will give you sustenance already from gestation, and it will feed you for 2 years, if you know those of us who breastfed or those of you who are breastfeeding. So it's an innate thing to be a nurturer as a feminine. It is actually one of the biggest qualities of femininity. It's nature and nurturing. That's not weakness. That is actually power. Imagine a world where there are no nurturers. Imagine a world where mothers were not nurturing their children, you know. Imagine a household where there is no nurturing happening. And there are many households that don't have that. That would be a very, very cold home. So femininity nurtures, you know, if masculinity provides, femininity nurtures. So when you are in your masculine as a woman, and you are in a providing role, you then find it very, very difficult to also nurture. So, you know, there's a video I did about unmothered mothers, you know, different types of mothers. You can find it if you scroll down. And the unmothered mothers who then take on the provision role, you know, they throw money at the problem. All they know is how to provide. They don't know how to nurture. In fact, when a child starts needing nurturing, you know, hug me, comfort me, cook for me, you know, I just want the oats that's cooked by mom. I know I can make it myself, but it would be nice to have it that's done by my mom. Or instead of a nanny doing it, I would love it from you. The mothers get really, really irritable, really annoyed because you can't do both roles. You can't be in your masculine and feminine at the same time. You need to be able to do the dance properly. And if you've been in the masculine for too long, you almost forget what it's like to be in the nurturing role. You know, because when a man provides or when the masculine provides, the feminine takes that provision and turns it into something that nurtures the household, right? So this is why then doing dual roles, and some people can, especially if you are aware and you are conscious of the roles you are playing, some people manage to do that, especially if you're a single mother that has lost a husband or you don't have any intentions of having a male figure in your life. You then have to be even more conscious of those roles. And once you are conscious of them, it is easy for you to take off the masculine suit and then be in the skin. But the transition must be also taken care of and nurtured nicely, you know. So once again, I am holding back because I am aware that this is a YouTube video for deeper, deeper content, for deeper work on these teachings. You will need to join my Patreon or you will need to book a session with me so we can deal with your individual and unique situation, because this is just a generic teaching and I'm very reluctant to go too deep sometimes. If you see me holding back, that's just the reason. I don't want to go onto a tangent or onto a rabbit hole too far. Besides, we'll be here for a while, so nice and easy, nice and slow. So that is another misconception or another rejected quality of femininity, which is the main quality, which is nurturing. You know, we are nurturers. And the sooner we embrace nurturing, it will first nurture you because you can't give what you don't have. The whole nurturing thing, once you step into it, you will see it starts with you. It starts by nurturing you. And then it is easy to nurture the rest. Okay, now misconception number 5. Misconception number 5, it's very similar to that one of inconsistency. It's a disorder. You know, apparently women or femininity is not orderly, it's messy, it's whatever. It's not. Femininity is very wild. And I don't say wild in a messy way or in a chaotic way. Femininity is wild in a natural way, in the same way that Mother Nature is wild. I mean, if you look at the ocean when the tide is coming in or when it's in its rowdiness, if you look at the weather, if you look at the Amazon forest, that type of wildness, you know, nature is very, very honest. And femininity has that wildness, that honesty about it, and very creative and very magical, you know. Again, another beautiful quality of femininity that for thousands of years was meant to be suppressed. I mean, you know these stories, which I'll get into if there's time as we continue with these teachings, how the magic that's in the feminine, the ability to create, the ability to heal, was seen as witchcraft. And many, many women were burnt on stakes, you know, being accused of being witches. To this day, there are women who are still accused of being witches because they are in their feminine. And guess what? These women are in the rural areas. They are deep, deep in rural villages where when I started the video, I said most of us have never seen a woman in her femininity. And these women are considered witches and they practice witchcraft when all they practice is a deep, deep inner knowing. You must remember that the woman or the feminine is deeply connected to Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is a natural sustenance. She sustains us, she nurtures us, and she heals us. So we innately have those qualities. We innately have the qualities of healing, I mean, you know, there's an advert that I always see of Vicks, especially now in winter, you know, the adverts of flu and all that, of medication. And there's this advert, yeah, Vicks, where the child says to the father is sick there, and the child says, you know, mother's touch is very magical. It will heal you. And then the mother comes and says, it is not only my touch, it is Vicks. It is actually your touch. It is actually your touch. When you, yes, Vicks does its work. Sorry, Vicks, you know, I'm not trying to bash you or anything, but have you ever been sick and then mama phonela, or your mom comes over, or you go to your mother's house and you immediately heal? There is something about mothers that is just naturally, magically healing. And in breastfeeding mothers, when a child is sick, the body of the mother innately knows this, and the milk ducts, the milk that is now created in a sick child, for a sick child, comes with antibodies or whatever it is that the child is struggling with. So we possess a natural magic in our bodies. Also sexually, which I want it to be a video on its own when we talk about, you know, female sexuality and how it is healing to your partner, especially a partner that you are deeply, deeply in love with and you are bonded together, not the others, which we'll talk about as well when we get to the sexuality. But yes, we possess a lot of natural healing abilities. And when we enhance those and honor that, you know, it looks very magical. I think that's why we are accused for Oloile Munna or Ing. There's semblances of truth there, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is a beautiful thing, that women are natural healers. And I mentioned this in one of the videos when I was talking about men, when I was talking about how masculinity needs to be safe. The healing aspect of your wife, of your girlfriend, you want to watch that, you want to guard that with everything you have, because she is a healer of your family. When your woman says, I'm going to pray, I'm going to the bedroom, I'm going to the sacred room to go pray for this situation in our home, give her all the time in the world. I lo rappela. There's a different prayer from women and there's a different prayer from men, because men also, ooh, masculine, ooh, I love these qualities. And these teachings are meant for us to actually embrace these qualities and understand them and know them and embody them and live them and watch how your world changes, how your relationship changes, and not just going through, also externally, you know, when you engage with other people. Let me see if I have a few more notes, a few more points, and then we can wrap it up. And next week I'll come with the next one. Yeah, so women are naturals, women are healers, women are magical, women are wild, you know, wild as in the nature type of wild. And this is why, probably why the system and the patriarchy has just tried to suppress it. And this is why maybe Apostle Paul had said the women must sit at the back and shut up. So yes, there is a lot of power in femininity, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have the whole month to go, and I'll try and bring them quickly because there is a lot I want to cover with this femininity, including why is it difficult, or how rather, for how is it that we can begin slowly to step into the feminine space. Although that I will recommend that you join my Patreon for that, or you come for a session, or maybe I can create a Zoom session, a webinar session where we can then go step by step into those, because it's quite involved and it's very coachy, as opposed to just teaching generic like this. Okay, now before I close, I just want to read a quote that I'm sure many of you have seen, and leave you with that, because it talks to some of the things that I started with, you know, about how we have never truly experienced a feminine woman. So let me just read it for you. You'll see it now on the screen. This quote has been doing the rounds for a long time on social media. I've seen it quite a few times over the years, and it's by Nicola Jane Hobbs. And she says, growing up, I never knew a relaxed woman. Successful woman? Yes, I have. Productive woman? Plenty. Anxious and afraid and apologetic women? Heaps of them. But relaxed women, at ease women, women who don't dissect their days into half-hour slots of productivity, women who prioritize rest and pleasure and play, women who aren't afraid to take up space in the world, women who give themselves unconditional permission to relax without guilt, without apology, without feeling like they need to earn it. I am not sure I've ever met a woman like that, but I would like to become one. What Jane is talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is a woman in her femininity, and we are yet to step into that role. And I think it is very important that we begin to embrace that, because I don't know about you guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is changing, and it is changing rapidly. The other day, I made a joke that AI is going to replace us all. It's not a joke. AI is going to replace most work, most, especially the professional ones, especially the knowledge-based ones, and there's going to come a time where we need to remember who we are. And this is an opportunity for us to remember the feminine ways of being. Because one day our productivity, our doing is no longer going to be required, at least not to this extent. And, you might think that this might happen in 20 years, actually, as early as now, in 2030, we will be living in an unrecognizable world. It has already begun. The fact that a lot of people are now chatting to ChatGPT as if they're chatting to a friend on WhatsApp. Yeah, we are on our way there. So we need to remember and embody the feminine, because the feminine is here and it needs to be incorporated in the world at a global scale, but it needs to be incorporated also in our everyday living, in our lives. As women, we are custodian of a powerful force, and we need to let it live as the systems crumble, as the capitalistic system crumble. I mean, we are in late stage capitalism, as it's known, where it's at its worst and it's about to end, and we want to embrace the qualities that will sustain the world going forward. So I'll come back next time with the next video as to talking about how do we step into the feminine. But maybe before that, I want to talk about how men can actually embrace femininity as well. Because femininity is chosen. If masculinity is borrowed, like I said last time, femininity is chosen. You want to be conscious when you step into a feminine role. You don't just do it like masculinity. You ask, you enter, you choose it. Okay, so this is my story, guys. I cannot wait to hear yours. Please keep the questions coming. We have I have two regular commenters so far, and I love it because it's a boy and a girl. And please join them. Please ask questions. Please share your thoughts. I am not the authority. I might know a little bit more because it is my world, it is my work. But if you have something that you want to share with me, something you want me to read for you, a question you want me to address, do not be shy. I am here, and let's grow the community. And yeah, it is my story. This is my story, and I cannot wait to hear yours.